All right. Thanks for being here. Padma Chebrolu, writer, director, producer, and there's more. What creative venture are you spending most of your time on currently?
Well, we have released our movie Passage of the River about 3 months ago. So I'm just finishing up all the marketing activities, getting it online on online streaming, and they're still doing these podcasts, and then preparing for the next movie. So writing the story and the storyboard, things like that. I'm also writing a children's book in this context. So uh, plus we also do many different performances, workshops related to arts, art and designs, to dance and music, speaking engagements. So a lot going on, but it's so much fun.
Nice. How do you schedule your time? Like, do you say this time of the day I'm going to work on this thing, then this is this time, or
I'm
is it as needed?
I'm very, very flexible. So whatever the need is, I go there. So whatever the deadline is, I go there. And I'm crazy planner. I'm very disciplined since I was a kid. So I just, have an intention for the day and I get it done.
Okay. When you're working on a movie or a film, how do you, when you start doing it, what's the first steps? Like you get the idea and then what happens after that?
Right. So you get the idea, and first you have to write a summary of it. So the broader summary, broader outline of the movie. So once you have the broader outline of the story, it has to make logical sense, and then you divide that into different scenes. And within those scenes, who are the players, who are the actors, and where is the scene going to take place, and what would be the narration or dialogues within that. So and you start writing a bigger, lengthy screen play or script, and then you start adding visualization to it. Okay, these three people are going to be here, and this is the location they're going to be here, and this is interaction that'll happen. And then we have to stitch that one scene to the next scene, to the next scene, to the next scene. So how does the story flow visually? Um, and you want to make sure. I always visualize my audience to be very smart people. So I need to make sure I tell a smart story. And I want to make it, very emotional to very light. I need to balance it out, right? So there's peaks and valleys to the movie story, and audience are thoroughly enjoyed and engaged. We don't want to bore them with the same thing, even if it is really fun scene. If it lasts too long, they'll lose interest. So how do you create the visualization that's enticing to people of any walks of life, and also enticing to or interesting to kids to adults? So I usually focus on movies that are very family oriented. So I visualize, a family sitting together watching this movie, and how does this appeal to them? And also I want the audience to feel very good after they see the movie. I want them to feel very positive and hopeful, of whatever the social impact we are trying to create. It is achievable. It is possible. In average people, normal people, people like you and me can do things to address the social issues or concerns that we have. So it's a quite a process. It could be intense, but I love that process. I enjoy it. So that's how it goes.
How much collaboration do you have on it usually? Like, is there collaboration when you're writing it, like when you're thinking of the scenes and putting them together, or how many
No,
people do you get involved?
zero collaboration. It's me and me. Because
Okay.
I,
So
I
more. Auteur.
It's much easier that way. And I also, like you said, collaboration is happening mentally for me. So let's say TR is going to be my collaborator, which is you. And I would say, what is his personality? What is his background? And how would he see this movie? Does it make sense to him? And then I would see it from another friend's point of view. Does it make sense from that point of view? So mentally, they're all collaborating with me. So I also choose the music pieces. I also choose the dance sequences, the choreography. So, but once it becomes pragmatic, like I have to engage the movie actors, right? So I have to talk to them and schedule them. And when I see a person, I don't do any screen interviews or anything. I know people who can do it. I ask them and they do it. That's how I go about it. There are no auditions.
Do you
So I,
cast people that you just know or that you see and you think this is the person for that part just
yeah,
out
for
in the
that.
world?
Exactly. That is how the casting goes because I've been in this field and I've been in this community for a very long time. So I know people with a lot of artsy background. And I know people who are very passionate people and who would look really good on the screen for the role that they play. So I engage them, I ask them, and then when I direct, I understand this is their first time or never done this before. I kind of coach them and nurture them to look authentic of themselves on the screen. So that part I have to collaborate, right? Once the movie filming starts, and then also I have to engage the tech team, right? The DOP, director of photography, editor, and all of that. I look at their previous work, I talk to them. So these are the things that I'm looking for. This is how it goes. So that part I have to, make sure I am collaborating with them, right? So the filming, when we are on the ground filming at the location, there are many people we collaborate with. It could be location owners, it could be a restaurant, it could be a house, it could be a park. So I'll be collaborating with those people to make sure we can do the scene there and schedule it with them. And I also work with nonprofit organizations who do the river cleaning or who do the river planting of the trees. So environmental groups that work with Ohio River or in this community. So that's the kind of collaboration happens.
Wow. When you're writing your script, do you use a specific program or are you just putting it in Word or writing it on paper?
I'm not fancy. I just use a Word document and PowerPoint and Excel.
Okay. Okay. So the PowerPoint is to do like the storyboards or to break apart scenes, and then what's the
Yes.
Excel part for? More planning the technical side of it?
Yeah, planning everything. I'm a
Listing all.
big time planner. So if you have, 20 actors, scheduling them, which scene has who, and what kind of a clothing they are going to wear in that scene. What are the props that are going to be in that scene, and what music goes with what scene from here to here, here to here, here to here, right? So really break it down. So the structure is very important. You have to plan all the structure ahead of a time, but because once you start filming on the ground at the location, the clock starts. You cannot have any confusion, you cannot have any hesitation. You have to be so well prepared. You create these scenarios: this could go wrong, this could go wrong, this could go wrong. How do I make sure I bring it all together and plan it so good that I can overcome that?
Wow. Okay. When you're on your script format, are you doing like the classic Hollywood script format of like exterior, riverside, daytime, and then you do your scene, or do you do it your own way?
No, I do follow some of the classic principles of filmmaking for sure, because they are timeless and they are very useful. And then, of course, I put my own twist on things, right? So I usually like to film outdoors most of the time because that's where the nature is, not indoors. Very few of my scenes happen indoors. And I scout the location. I go on in the internet. I research a lot. So I create the scene in the documents ahead of the time, and then I also hold one or two sessions with the tech team and then the artists, the actors ahead of a time, and explain to them as a group. And then I also talk to individual actors, and I tell them, you're going to wear this, you're going to look like this, and this is your role, which is very similar to who you are. You're not really acting, you're being yourself. And I answer all their questions. I really take very good care of my actors. So when they're on the scene, they feel like they're very valued and the role is very important and their presence is going to make a social impact because the movie itself has a bigger purpose, right? So nobody's making money here. So they feel very good about contributing and coming and becoming part of the team.
So then, are all of your movies like the activist type movie? We're trying to talk about the river and this type of thing, or have you done any other types of film?
Yeah, my earlier movies are more based on the dance. So I'm a trained classical dancer from India. So so as things are, evolved, I did, uh, I choreographed many different dances, or I represented a lot of heritage dances that were passed on to me from generations of my ancestors. So I filmed a lot of those dances. And then I've been part of many different documentaries, or I also do modeling. So I've been part of those. So as things are evolving, I'm like, I have all this capability or skill set. So how can I love telling stories and I do that in the community also at the events. I have all the behind the scenes skills and, in front of the screen skills. How do I bring it all together and create a movie? So I'm very, very inspired by the nature and the environment. The next movie I'm making is a mystery, but it has the backdrop of the river, the trees, the nature, and the heritage, the history, all of that. So that's where I am. I'm already planning for my third film, but I haven't written that yet. So all my movies usually will be family movies that have a purpose, and it's not like teaching and hammering out something. It I want to entertain, and I want people to feel good when they watch it and celebrate what we have, and also have the awareness to say, okay, in the future we need to have this, right? We need to have what we are taking for granted here should be available for our next generations. So that's how it goes.
All right. For your technical side of it, when you're the cameras and things, do you have a favorite type of camera used to shoot it? Or is that something the tech team brings to it? Or is it something you own and then they operate?
The tech team, I work with the various tech team members. So I ask what kind of cameras or editing capabilities that they have, and I go with what they have. The the thing is, the location should be beautiful, the time of the day, the lighting should be beautiful, the coordination of what you're wearing, what you're doing, what the story is should be beautiful, and the camera captures it. And of course, they all come with good cameras and good editing software and all of that. And the coloring happens later on, right? So I don't dictate what kind of specific hardware they need to have. I go with what they have and I leverage what they have and I push them to the nth degree on their technical skills, what they're capable of, because I want them to learn new skills, and they should feel, oh, I just got the money. Yes, but I also learned so much more here by working with this director, right? I would have never learned that if I didn't work with her, right? So I want them to feel like they achieved more than just a remuneration, right? That they feel good about their work, and they feel part of the team, and they also appreciate that the movies won awards, right? They're because they're part of it. Yeah.
How much time percentage wise is the actual shooting of it versus the writing, the planning for the shoot, and then the work post?
Yeah, so the seed of the idea happens months ahead. So usually 3 months before the film shooting, you really make it concrete. And then once it is documented, it takes many weeks and months to put all the finer details into it, because the details are what makes a big difference, and people super appreciative of that I capture those nuances and details. So I would say, the seed happens a year ago, right? And then 3 months before the shooting, you're really immersing yourself and bringing all the people, all the finer details into it, finalizing the script, finalizing all the actors and everything. And then the production, I keep it, regardless of how, in a stretch of time, 5 to 7 days maximum. I need to get it done. I plan so good that it has to get it done. And then after that, it takes at least 3 months, with fast tracking the timeline to finish the editing, put all the finer details into it, and make it in a format that is commercially viable to put on online streaming, to this and that and this. And then the editing process is pretty intense, and I go through minor details to the nth degree, and I document all my editing choices, editing notes. So the editing is extremely painful, but extremely rewarding.
Do you complete the project and then shop it to streamers, or do you take it like, I don't know what they call it, like doing a movie on spec or something, where they say, we're going to give you
So,
this, write a movie about this?
no, I am not a big, commercial producer. It happens the other way. They come to me and say, "Hey, can you write a movie?" No, I'm a small producer, right? So I write the movie. I keep in mind all the specs these online streaming platforms need, right? So you don't go just produce just the way you want it, and then it's very hard to convert. The specs are specs. Once you have it, it's super hard to convert, not even possible, or it could be super expensive. So I have very strong IT background, so I evaluate all those specs, and I make sure the film is made to adhere to those specs, because different streaming platforms will have different specs. You need to have a layer that protects you to meet all those specs. And then I submitted the movie to the online streaming platforms. So and then it's up to them, right?
Okay. For the specifications, are those things like how big the file can be, what type of file it's in, and how it's
Yeah.
colored, and all these other things? Okay.
Oh yeah. They'll have many, many, many specs, and some I knew going in, some are new, right? You don't even know that they exist, so you have to go research, and then every 3 months they change. So you made the movie, but then you try to submit it. Once the editing is done, the specs changed, the fields changed. You're like, "Whoa, I didn't even know this." Then you try to somehow work it out. It's a lot of work. Post production is a lot of work to bring it to the audience. So it's both challenging, fun, and pretty intense. It's not for people of, if you want to go easy, this is not something you want to do.
Yeah, it's a different perspective. Like I've started writing just regular novels and then more poetry and then scripts. I've started recently within the past year. And I used to think looking at a novel, of course, you could make a movie about any book. You got it all right there already. And then I started looking at the software for how to format it like a script. And I was like, oh, this is a whole new language I need to learn, like a new formatting. And then I thought it's just easier if I do the formatting myself in Word than
Yep.
if I have to figure out how this program works on top of learning this new language. So it's I like it because it's a stripped down version of everything where it's more suggestions or directions to a director and a producer. And I think the writer for screenplay is kind of, if you're not doing it how you are, which is you write it, you direct it, you do all that stuff, I can
Yes.
see the value of that. But if you're just writing it and then you give it to somebody else, every level is going to mess with it somehow. And it
Exactly.
and if you put all those little pieces together that, yes, this makes sense because it connects here and here, and somebody comes in and moves some things around, in the end, it starts looking bad. So I can
Yeah.
see how bad movies are made because they might have been written well and then this happened. Or maybe they weren't written well and you can't save them. But it's, I'm glad I started practicing writing scripts because it definitely helps prose. And I think that poetry helps dialogue.
Yeah.
And you could probably do all those things in different orders, but that's how it was for me, was prose, poetry, script. And it's exciting to keep learning those new little pieces of how things work and how they get put together.
Yeah, very well said. Because if you start collaborating, you write the story and you bring in a screenwriter, right? Screenplay writer, he or she comes from a different background. They have a different perspective, different experiences. So those get influenced into your story. So your story is not your story anymore. It's translated. So you might like this translated version, or you might like, I don't like this. So I tell myself, it's going to be me.
Yeah.
And it is very difficult to play so many roles. But I'm not a multi-million-dollar budget. I'm not a big producer. We don't have, this is not full-time thing you do, right? So we don't have that luxury of hiring somebody and still keeping your story authentic with their collaboration, right? So you end up doing all of it.
Yeah. Then you throw the actor in on it and then you go, oh, they're looking at it from a different perspective than you are. And then if you're just the writer, you don't have any real influence. So now you have a
Mhm.
person that's directing it with their spin and their vision, telling a person that is acting it that's coming from their perspective. And it's just, yeah, it doing the collaborative writing. I've written some books with people and some scripts with people. And to a certain point, you have to let go a lot where you just say, okay, I think it happened like this, but if it doesn't, then all right, let's see what you got. Let's see. And it does turn out to be different, but yeah, nothing that I couldn't deal with yet. But yeah, I
Well, I
like
wish,
the idea of expanding it, of
yeah,
expanding the types of writing. Did you
wonderful.
do did you do regular writing before movie writing, or how does your children's book stuff affect your film versus the other way around?
So they're similar and different, right? So right now I'm doing the children's book. So I wrote the story where you can just sit and read. Now I have to break it down into chapters. Children's book chapters are much smaller, right? So break it down into chapters. So and then I have to think from the perspective of a child, um, and then for children's book you need to visualize it, right? You need to have pictures to it. So I'm working with creating the pictures. So we have a location set up and we are going to go there, and all the things that are inward should come alive in the picture, right? They should go together. So it might seem very simple, but it's not. So you cannot miss a single minute detail, right? Because you have to capture the essence of the story, what you thought, you should feel very proud of what you're putting out there, right? And you don't want to look back and say, oh, I should have done that better. You will have that feeling, but not intentional. I didn't know that at that time, kind of a thing. Versus I knew it, but I didn't do it because of XYZ. That's excuses, right? So you want to put your 100% into it. So you're like, this is the best foot forward I can have in this moment. So so children's book is a smaller effort compared to making a full-length feature film, right? So the scale is different, but the children's book in the post-production, again, you have to put it on online digital version, right? So there are, again, technical specs to it. You need to understand book publishing is very different. So you got to figure out what are the platforms, and how do I submit this, would they accept it or not. I don't want to get rejected. If they reject it once, then you're done, you can't submit again, right? So going through all those quality checks, and making sure it meets all the needs, and then after it is out there in the world, then you have to market it, right? So it's a whole different art form of marketing it to audiences, people, and they're all busy. So how do you tell them that this is such a nice movie or a book that you should make time for this, right? So entice them, and so they are so intrigued by it, so they make time for it, right? Everybody fashionably these days are busy 24/7. Yeah.
From the creativity standpoint, how do you decide what's a children's book, what's a movie, what's a dance?
So they're all creative processes, and first of all, they need to make me happy. My happiness comes first, not because I'm selfish. Then only the art will flow, right? Then only good art will come out, right? And as a creator, you also know you're just sitting there doing something, and all of a sudden this thought comes to your head, and it just won't let it go, right? It just drives you crazy, and then you start putting it on the paper and typing it and refining it. It just won't leave you alone until you make it solid product out there. So that's just a blessing and a curse of an artist, right? So given I'm a multi-artist, sometimes I can see this dance coming through my head. Sometimes I see this book coming out of my head. So sometimes different kinds of things. I don't know. I love all kinds of art forms. Sometimes I like to write a poem, right? So it just mood of the day. It's like 10 tracks are going on in the head. It's crazy times in the head. So it's just, they're all fighting against each other, all the ideas, all the art forms. So I'm trying to structure it. So, okay, I deliver the movie, then I deliver this performance with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, or then I'm going to go do this, then I'm going to do this. So I structure it so I can deliver all those ideas that are in my head. So I can do full justice to each of them, and they bring me joy, so I can produce the best art possible.
Do you think creativity is something that just comes from us, or something we interact with?
So in my case, I can't speak for everybody. In my case, I'm just the way I am. Since childhood, I've been very creative. Music, dance, poetry, theater, you name it, reading, all of the books, everything. Just love it, love it, love it. So I went to academics in the morning, and then evenings and weekends I did arts. That's it. So I in the school I did, I want to make sure I get good grades, so I don't have extra homework. I don't have to study for exams. So I listen very well. I memorize very well when they're talking about. I ask right questions. So I spend least amount of time on my academics, because 8 hours you're anyway in the school. Spend those 8 hours, learn what you need to do, and get good grades. So you have all this free time to do other things that are really fun, and hang out with all your artsy friends and artists, and you do all these cool things. Um, so that's how it worked for me. That's how I made. And also the environment you're in has to be, can also inspire you, right? Sometimes, we live in a small apartment, or, we don't have, beautiful river flowing or lots of trees and everything, and beautiful, inspiring environment. So what I tell myself is everything is inside you. So if you close your eyes, you can see the beautiful river, right? So that can inspire you from within. So, there's beautiful Himalayas. So, you don't have to go to the mountains. You just imagine, or, and write about it, right? So that's how it works for me. Um, and and when I go into the community and do all these creative things, and pretty much 90% of what I do is interactive. So I want people to experience what I experience, the joy, the happiness, and just very fulfilling life, rich life. So I want others to experience it, right? So they never had the opportunity, or it didn't happen to them like it happened to me. So when they experience it, they just light up. I think there is artist and creative person inside everyone. It's just that they were not unlocked. It's just sitting inside. Nobody told them you could be an artist. They didn't know how to go about it. So I'm very humbled and very fortunate that it just comes to me.
Why do you think that maybe it goes back to it's being unlocked and they didn't know that they had the option for it, but people having the various interactions with creativity, some people seeming more creative than others, then how do you think that it works that some people prefer one type of art versus another?
Yeah,
Why do you
so
think
there are different things, right? So some people want to go in depth into an art form, right? And that's how most people are. They pick one art form, and let's say you're a pianist, you play piano, that's it. And you play the most beautiful piano, and that's it, right? And that brings you joy. That's your art form, and you learn, perform all of this. In my case, I'm crazy artist. I go do many things. I go deeper and then also horizontal. So it's a multi-artistry. It's not like I tried and went and did it purposely. It just came to me, right? So there's a in Indian culture we call it grace, right? So you're given grace of possibility of experiencing, expressing in so many different art forms, right? Which is fantastic, but also it brings you a lot of responsibility, and say, if I don't produce, if I'm given the skill but I'm not producing it, I'm wasting it, right? And to me that is not a right thing to do. You got to produce the art when you have that inclination, when you have that skill set, when you have the ability to do it and share it with others. You should do it. So you should pass on that art, not keep it to yourself, or just not do anything about it. That's just not the way you should live.
I like that, the passing on the art. Where do you do most of your writing, whether it's the children's book or a movie, when you're sitting down and either typing or writing? Where do you do most of that?
Right here. So I just have a table and very simple chair, and that's where I sit and do it. I don't go anywhere, because all the beautiful things that places in the world are within me. I can imagine them. I can see them in my heart. I'm not very fancy person.
When you are writing, how do you motivate yourself or schedule the completion of a project? If you're writing a script, are you thinking, I'm working on this scene today, I'm going to get a draft of that? Or are you writing for time or writing for word count? How do you keep that
Yeah.
going?
Yeah, there's plenty of motivation here. There's never lack of motivation here. so so I just I simplify all the mundane things in my life as much as possible. If I don't have to eat, I don't even care about food, right? I can focus on the art or do something more fun here. So all the to me, life has a bigger purpose. I'm put in here, there's a purpose here, right? So I'm after that meaningful living rather than the mundane living of you have to get up, brush my teeth, take a shower, eat my breakfast. That is all in the background. That is happening, but my mind is always on, okay, what is the next thing I want to accomplish? And I want to do it with such quality that I'm proud of it. That's the best I could do, right? I'm not going to be as good as XYZ person. This is all my skill. This is all I can do. And I'm going to do it in the most beautiful way possibly I can. And I'm not going to act like I'm a busy person, I'm an important person. That's not me. So I'm always enjoying what I'm doing, and I want to find more time for these kind of things. So I'm always simplifying, everything in my life so I can find time for this, more time for this. We're all given 24 hours, so how much more of that 24 hours can I dedicate to this?
What what do you think the reason we're here is? The reason for living?
It's the reason for life is in the Indian spirituality, it's very different way of looking at things, right? So I'm very very inspired. I read a lot. I listen a lot to my ancestral wisdom, and we are in a journey. So we are not the body. We are not the mind, right? The body, you're born as a baby. Now you're an adult, right? So you just ate and grew, right? And then your mind is it's just a computer processing, right? It just thoughts and emotions, right? That is what it's supposed to do. It can be helpful, it can be not so helpful, right? So you have to train your mind to work with you. Let's say you have a hand and you want to type, right? So your hand is trained to type, right? You train the hand. So that's how you should train the mind. So mind is accumulation of all the thoughts, all your experiences, all what you read on internet, whatever, right? So there's more to, so that you definitely need the body to be a human. So you have to definitely have good health. Don't worry, that cannot be ignored. And you need to have a very sharp mind, right? To be able to do things, whatever that is. You could be an accountant, you could be a taxi driver. You should have really good mind to make sure you're accomplishing, and you will have some responsibility. You could be a parent, you could be a daughter or mother, whatever. So you will have to attend to all of that. But then there is something else, we might call it body, mind, and spirit, or something more, the divine inside you, right? So that is what you're looking at. That is actually, that's me. The body is not me, the mind and thoughts and emotions are not me, but the spirit inside me is actual me. So this spirit is on a journey, right? And one of the stops is planet Earth. I came here, I came into this body, and I'm experiencing the essence of life, which is being joyful, right? um, so I just want to be happy, right? So how do you be happy, right? You want to do things that are important to your soul, important to that brings joy and happiness. and you want to be in harmony with planet Earth, the environment, with your. That's why we talk about yoga. And yoga, a lot of people think yoga is yoga asanas, the postures, and then the bhangimas or the poses. But yoga is being in union with everything around you. So this is all our ancestral wisdom. Very inspired by that. So this is just one step after after you die and your soul moves on and you continue your journey. So there should not be any fear of dying. There should not be any fear of death. So you're in continuation. This is just one stop.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the reason we're here is the experience and the perspective. That it's for some other reason. I haven't thought so much about the mind and the spirit being. I understand it's different, but I haven't thought about the mind being thoughts and emotion versus the spirit, because I would imagine the spirit has its own thoughts and emotions too. But maybe that's just because I'm thinking about it with a human mind versus the eternal mind or whatever. So, some things to think about.
Yeah, in many cultures, people think logically. And Indian culture, we think both logically and illogically. And there are some things that are illogical, but they're still true. So that's how we go about it. We
Okay.
accept both ways of thinking.
Yeah, it's good to think about all of that. I think the idea that we're here to collect perspective and experience makes a lot of things make more sense. Like, why do good and bad things happen? It's because that's what you're here to experience, the good and the bad things. Like, you can't just have all the good and then you don't know any of that other. I mean, all the emotions are there for a reason, so you're going to go through them sometime. Everybody to varying degrees, and then everybody's going to deal with them differently. So I like that. What's the best way for people to follow your work?
Great question. So I have social media platforms. So we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, and YouTube, website. We have emails, phone numbers. So it's culturalcenterofindia.com. You can also Google my name, so you'll come across that. And you can follow us. And many of our events that we offer, or 99% of them, are free. So you can come. And if you're not in this community, and if you're outside some other place, you can see the photos and some of the videos of that, right? So all these are available online. So yeah, we would love to, make this available to others also.
Okay. In the show notes will be all of those links you just talked about, the social ones, the website, and I think there's a few others too for people to check out. Is there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't, or any thoughts in closing?
Yeah, so there is a concept called action oriented karma, right? So artha karma. So um, to me, we talk about a lot of things, but we also have to do those things, right? So some of the things that I talk about in the movies or in the workshops or events that I go to is I talk heavily about, yes, art is very important, but art gives a platform to convey about more than what is that you want them people to do. So I request people to clean the rivers or lakes or water bodies in their neighborhood. I request people to go plant trees, or have a garden, have a environmentally friendly lifestyle. So that's what I request everybody. People say, oh, those people are doing, they're all doing it. But everybody, all 8 billion people, please do your part. We, even if you're sitting at home, You can attend to your garden, right? You can live, get rid of all the plastic in your house, right? So you are healthy, and you are also making this planet healthier. So to me, if you are able to volunteer, please, please, please volunteer in your community. Plants and trees are for everybody. They don't see any difference, right? They give fruit to everyone, right? They give oxygen to everyone, right? And rivers and lakes, they give water to everyone, right? 70% of our body is water, right? So if you don't have clean water, even now many communities don't have clean water. Just imagine 10, 20, 30 years here, our children, what kind of water they will have, right? If you don't drink water, you're going to die, right? If you don't breathe clean air, you're going to die, right? We're already seeing some of this, right? So, what is it we can do consciously? Everyone, go do something, volunteer something. I'm not asking all day, every day. Just here and there, go volunteer, whatever that is, right? Please don't take life for granted. Please don't take your wealth for granted. Do something with it, right? Whatever you can. So just look up for some nonprofit organizations in your area, in your community. Please take care of your community and yourself. You need clean water. You need clean air also, not just the rest of the folks. So that's just my request to everyone.
Nice action items. I like it. And your links again are all in the show notes, and people can check those out. I'll talk to you on the other side of this musical exit here.